Welcome back to Crash Course Typography. In this video, we are going to talk about creating composition with type and then knowing how to work with type and its shape so that you can achieve a good composition. Okay, so the first word I have here is jazzercise. I just took a jazzercise class and I was like, this is perfect for what I'm talking about today. The way that the letters are used here is you can see they're in all caps. Now that's just a default as a part of this typeface, but if you use all caps when you're working with letters, you create this sort of rectangle shape automatically, at least with most words that you use, most fonts. So it's kind of neat how you create this rectangle shape. Whereas with this one that's in Garamond, it's very organic. There's a lot of up, down, up, down, up, and even down here at the bottom because of the ascenders and the descenders, which that's a part of type anatomy. You can learn more about type anatomy in the ebook that goes along with this course. But the ascenders and descenders sort of create this more organic feel. And there's a place for that, and we're going to talk about that as we look at some of these basic ways to start creating typographic compositions. So down here, I have an example of another box type of composition. In order to send the shape to the back, the shortcut I'm using is Shift Command and then the left bracket. Okay, so what you can see here is that this composition, it's not too boring because I got to use the really bold, low contrast Geist typeface, and then I paired it with this really scripty Isabella typeface. And so it created this interesting composition but fit nicely in this box. And this other example, I used the same phrase, love never fails, but it's a lot more organic, and I would argue that it's harder to read because there isn't as much variation, so it's less interesting, and it's so organic. There's a lot of that up and down we talked about. There's some straights here at the bottom, but it's inconsistent because of the capital letters and the lowercase letters. I could theoretically make this all uppercase, but another thing you want to pay attention when you're creating your type, I thought I hit caps. Another thing you want to pay attention to is how the letters look when you're capitalizing them. Obviously, some words work better when they're all capitalized than other words, depending on what font that you use. It's possible we could have used this all lowercase as well. So just an example, you can see as it was previously that this L and this F kind of make this really neat little curve together. But overall, I still say that this is probably the stronger composition. Moving on to another shape composition is this circle here. I use this example, too cool for school. And in this one, it's pretty easy to read. So one of the things I want to talk about with this example is you want to make sure however you place your words and your letters in your composition that it's easy for someone to read right away. Now I'm just going to assume that you read the one here on the left much quicker than you read the one here, the one here on the right, and then the one you read here on the left. Because it's not as obvious that the 2 is supposed to be read first, cool for school. I mean, if you got that at all. Whereas here, it was obvious you read from top to bottom. And it's possible that you could have this be read first and this last, or this first and this last. But the whole back and forth of 2, cool for school, I think maybe is taking it a little bit too far. So that's something you want to think about when you're putting your compositions together, is how well is it reading? If you're not sure, give it to your friend. Try not to be mad at them if they tell you that they can't read it. And just make sure the purpose is to communicate effectively. All right, so those are some tips to get you started.